sound in the head. You know where your limits are, so if you say, oh, this is going to be a little too much, you can back off, but he's in a pretty good place, I would say. To get him back if you frazzled him. Okay, so this, that, got this going on here. Just, we're going to make a point here, so. You've got a good curb chain. I have seen some really crazy tack in the last 2 clinics. I just look at people and go, why? Why do you have this equipment? All right, let's try this and see if it makes a difference. I tightened your noseband, I raised it up. I raised your curb a little bit. I took the rubber off your chain, and I made your chain a little bit tighter. Hold on a second. Well, hallelujah. Yeah. Don't avoid your curb ring. I don't ever ride with these. You won't find any in my stable. When I take a little pressure on the curb rein, I want the horse to feel it. Now be bold. Oh, that's different already. Hallelujah, hallelujah. I touched him. Ah. So now it's your job to say, look, I'm not going to use this bridle, but if you happen to run into it, you're going to have to correct yourself. And the only real rule is that you got to go as forward as I tell you to go. Don't be wishy-washy with the reins. Excellent. Excellent. Oh, this is Sunday, isn't it? We can expect a lot of miracles today. Very, very good. Send him on. Excellent. Different horse. Excellent. Oh, now you can ride him. Here's the deal, and I'm going to be rather risque when I say this, but rubber does not belong in dressage riding. No rubber reins, no rubber chin pads, no gel pads. It's like it just dulls everything. It takes the communication away. And I never use those little rubber things on my curb chain unless I, for some reason, have a horse with an injury or missing skin or something, which I never have. It dulls the effect of the equipment. And if you want, I personally look at the double bridle as something like a laser compared to a scalpel. If you're going to do laser surgery, you need a laser. And Maria has fantastic hands. She has a very, very good, kind hand. So when she puts the rubber on the curb chain, it basically says to the horse, you're allowed to challenge my hand because it's not going to hurt you. That is not the message we want to give this horse. He's 12 years old. She wants to bump him up to the Grand Prix level. He has to start coming through from behind. And you can see here, he's not stressed in any way. He's not panicked because I took the rubber off his curb chain and tightened it and did a couple other things. He's going, oh, I get it now. So you have to clean up your language. And if there's something that is interfering with the horse hearing you, like rubber reins are really bad too for that reason. If there's something that interferes with the way you communicate with the horse, you have to take it away because your communication has to be direct. This is also why we tighten a lot of nosebands. We don't want that when you take contact with the bit, the horse opens his mouth first because that's the wrong conversation. You want that he gives it pull immediately. So, good boy. I also tightened her noseband because what we could see before was that her curb bit was really over-rotating in his mouth. It should never go beyond 45 degrees. It was over-rotating in his mouth. He was opening his mouth. He was avoiding the bits a little bit, not really accepting the bit. I tightened her nose band. I raised the curb bit up a little bit. I took the rubber off the curb chain, and I tightened the curb chain. And now he's like, yes, ma'am, let's do dressage. You should never allow a horse to pull you out of the saddle. If you're going to ride dressage, you have to have access to the hindquarters. You have to have access to the hind legs and to the loin. If a horse can come against you and start to pull you out of the saddle, you can't access his loin. Maria said to me, I'm not strong enough. He's too strong. I'm not strong enough. She is strong enough when she adjusts the bridle correctly because she doesn't need strength anymore. That's just the bottom line. Good job. That's a little bit my fault, I have to admit, because I wanted to do all that the very first time you came to me, but I didn't want to shock you or the horse. So, completely different picture. Now, don't get too soft with him. Excellent. Excellent. Yes. You see, and when he submits to that much forward energy, this is what I've been talking about for 2 days. Now you can collect him, and there's energy, there's throughness, there's softness in the pole. He doesn't stop on you. He just keeps going. Excellent. Excellent. Before you collect him that much, you should shorten your reins a hair. So send him on. Dude. His mouth has completely normalized, by the way. So now you can, yep. Now tap him in a little bit with your stick to keep him quick and collect him on the shorter rein. Collect him with your seat. Wonderful. Very good. Now send him on again, and his neck shouldn't change. And his mouth, I want to tell you, is 100% normal right now. He's not trying to stick his tongue anywhere or do anything weird or resist you. He's like, okay, I get it. Submission, I'm there. Yeah. Wonderful. Go ahead and change rein. Let's see him go on the dreaded left rein now. Now, if you have a total beginner on a horse who for some reason has to ride in a double bridle, go ahead and put the rubber on his curb chain. But that's just going to dull everything. So if you have a rider who can really ride and they need to communicate better, and the horse has to have a, look at this, beautiful. That's just, yeah. Good. Glad we got to that point. Now you don't need me anymore. I would walk and pat him. Make a rather big deal about that. Because he didn't just get on the same page with you. He said, oh, hi, I've been waiting for you. Awesome. That's great. That's great. Then the other thing that I would do is take away your fluffy pad on here and use one of those neoprene ones. You know, the little, you've seen them. They also just have a little bit more direct, that fluffy gets a little bit in the way of the snaffle ring, of the snaffle bit ring, and it's a little bit too long. I would just put one of those black neoprenes under there, and then it's easier to adjust your nose band and get it tighter if you need to, which you probably don't need to. He seems to be fine with this. But also, before you get, or when you get off him, check where I put the curb chain, because that's where it should be on either side. You almost need a shorter curb chain, because I think I've got it on like 4 and 5 on either side. But so walk and put him together and walk again. But now it's not even a question of putting him together. He's there, which is the way it should be when your double bridle is fitted correctly. This is why, because of my beliefs and my experiences in training a lot of horses in double bridles, this is why I laugh when I hear people say that we should be able to do dressage bridleless. There are certain types or certain ways to do dressage bridleless, but part of our challenge is to get the horse to accept the tack and really come through from behind. So if you don't have a bit there, you're never really riding him through and onto the bridle and through that. That's part of the challenge of dressage. That's why the sport has developed the way it has. So if you take the bits out of the mouth, Nobody has to learn to be good with their hands. Nobody has to learn to adjust a bridle. Nobody has to learn to sit the trot. You can just bounce around and do tricks, which is what a lot of us do anyway. So, very good. Now keep him forward. You can come in. Nadia, you can come in and walk. And I just want you to do one round of canter. The reason I stopped and adjusted her bridle is because he was so resistant in the mouth. And every time she tried to send him forward, he just blocked her in the jaw and in the pole. Now, if you have a piece of equipment that can help you with that, use it. He's wearing it anyway. Excellent. Wonderful. This is what I thought I would see. He finally comes into the correct position with his head, neck, and his withers. Because what he wasn't doing before was lifting his withers. Excellent. Excellent. Keep your chest high. Keep your chest high. Yep, good. Because now you can ride him with the lightest possible aid, which is why I always adjust equipment the way I do. Is because I want the horse to respond to the tiniest thing that I do. Excellent. Send him forward here. You see, he's accessible now. Before you'd send him forward and he'd be like, what? Now he's so accessible that you can just close your leg a little bit and boom, off he goes. Doesn't matter. You see there, he learned. He corrected himself off the bridle, which is fine. It's a passive tool. We want him to do that. Send him one more time. Send him. Now collect him from your seat. And walk. And I want you to observe one other thing, Maria. He has more energy at the end of this lesson than he did at the beginning. Yeah. And that's through, you can let him walk now. That's through the kind of riding that we did. We really motivated him in the beginning. But then when you could he became accessible because he softened his pole, then all of that energy that I wanted to come into him came into him.